I'm looking for a Jedi Master.
Jedi Master? Yoda. You seek Yoda.
You know him?
Take it to him, I will.
Although my playing days are long over, baseball is still an extremely important part of my life. The lessons and experience I gained from being a part of many teams, some great and some awful, have shaped my approach to life. So when I was given the opportunity to join my friend Josh Rawitz, the president of the National Baseball Hall of Fame, and by the way, great dude, great people at the Hall of Fame, to join them in Arizona to meet with some of the best managers to ever be in the game.
By the shores of old Lake Michigan,
jumped on a plane, and flew out to the west. Kind of felt like Luke Skywalker going to visit the Jedi Knights on a faraway planet. I can't tell you how excited I was. And the experience, man, it was once in a lifetime. High above the field in the coach's tower, I watched as the players prepared for opening day. The first conversation I had with one of these Jedi Knights was with Milwaukee Brewers general manager Matt Arnold, who was so gracious to talk with us in his conference room. His guidance was genius. It was surround yourself with people that you can solve and focus on the vertical areas of your business, of your team. The quicker you could solve those and make those strong, the more time you could spend horizontally. And that's where success comes. Connecting the dots and getting above the fray. Focusing your best people on the big picture.
when baseball season rolls around, when the snow melts.
As we exited the Milwaukee Brewers executive suite, I had the chance to catch up with Manager of the Year, Pat Murphy. I had the chance to get to know Pat a bit back in the late 80s when I wanted to play baseball for him at Notre Dame. Pat talked about being aggressive. That was his advice. Being aggressive reminded me of that wonderful Al Pacino every inch speech. Be aggressive. Go after it. Never be satisfied. In very Pat Murphy aggressive style, he challenged me to see if I could still get down in a crouch, suggested I go over to the players' table and grab a mitt. When I met the challenge, he walked over to me and quietly gave me one of those killer fist bumps. Thanks again, Pat. It was good to see you. From the grandstands, watching the Milwaukee Brewers play against the Cincinnati Reds, I asked Josh Rawitz about Terry Francona, the Reds manager, who was sitting in a metal folding chair on the side of the field watching his players, cool, calm, collective, like he's done thousands of times before. Josh told me a story how Terry Francona's presence in the Reds locker room from the minute he walked in changed everything. Again, that leadership, the presence, the poise, it's about an attitude. I really enjoyed that conversation and spent the next hour watching Terry Francona watch his players as much as I watched the game on the field. Later that night, atop the rooftop of the Valley Ho Hotel in Scottsdale, as we awaited the arrival of the legendary Jedi Knight baseball managers, I got talking with Josh Barfield, great player, and is absolutely going to be one of the rising stars in baseball management. His approach to team is very similar to Matt Arnold's. He talked about looking at the funnels of information you get and quickly figuring out how to connect the dots. The king of baseball philosophy, Tony La Russa, talked to me about the importance of continuity, something that I've always talked about. I was so happy when he started talking about it and using that word. He said that you can't really build a team and a leadership with strangers, which is why when he moved from organization to organization, he brought his guys with him. You can always add new people, but you need that continuity so the trust starts. And I really understand that now, why managers bring in their own pitching coach and first base coach. I think the same goes for it in business. Special thanks to Jason at the Hall of Fame for sitting me next to Bobby Valentine. Bobby's stories about managing the Mets and talking about the many relationships he developed during the game was fantastic. It was funny because I asked Bobby about what it was like to go from being a player to a coach. And he yells out across the bar to Joe Torre, who's sitting at the next table over, and says, "Hey, Joe, remember the day that you told me I was no longer going to be a player and I was being cut?" Yeah, that was a fun one. That was great. But Bobby talked about relationships. Putting yourself in a position to win every day, no matter what it was, never giving up. And I really enjoyed his tenacity and his flavor and his spirit. There is nobody else like Bobby Valentine.
When baseball season rolls around, when the snow melts away.
And at last but not least, I got the chance to talk to the master, Joe Torre. And Joe, in very typical fashion, very calm, talked about finding people that will run through a brick wall for you, take a bullet for you, creating that sense of professionalism and team. I really, it was a great way to end my trip visiting the Jedis. The next morning, I jumped on a plane, flew back to New York City, and just decided that I was going to take their advice and run with it. So, play ball.
Done it, and Yogi read the comics all the while. Rock and roll was being born, marijuana, weed.